ordinary blur looks pretty boring, so let's fix that. As you can see here, this is a terminal window I have opened, which has a bit of translucency, and this is the blur that we have going on by default. So this is without any of the blur settings. Now watch as I add in a couple of custom settings and immediately improve the way that this blur looks. Not only does it look much richer, but it also just looks spicier. It looks crisper, if you will, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is, these are all the settings which I've used for this blur. I'm going to go through the wiki and then explain each setting in detail so you can figure out how to create this sort of a blur effect for yourself, okay? So let's start. First of all, we have enabled, right? Pretty simple. You're just enabling dual Kawase window blur. Now it just says Kawase over here, but the thing about Kawase is it's a method of blurring. So you have different modes of blurring, or you have different types of blurs, okay? So if you've used a tool like Photoshop or GIMP or any tool like that, you'll know that there are a lot of filters, blur filters that you can use. So you have box blur, okay? You have box blur, and then you have Gaussian blur, and then you have average blur. There's a lot of different blurs. In fact, if I just show you the different types of blurs in GIMP, okay, you should be able to look at what I mean. So in blur, we have a bunch of different blurs. So focus, Gaussian, lens, mean curvature, median, okay, all of that. Okay, so what this is doing is basically enabling a type of blur which is custom made by the creators of Hyprland called dual Kawase. Okay, here it just says Kawase, but it's actually dual Kawase, inspired by PyCom or Compton, which used to be a compositor for X11 window managers back in the day. Okay, then what we have is size. So this just says blur size. Now, if you don't want to deal with actually knowing what blur size is all about, all you have to know is that it just controls how much each window is blurred. So if I changed blur size to something like 10, it's just going to blur the window more. And then if I make it 15, blurs the window more, right? But then it goes a level deeper than that, okay? So let me show you what I mean. So let me open a whiteboard so you can see. Okay, here we are. Now, let's see here. Now, what is a blur kernel? So the size over here just means the size of the blur kernel. Now, let's say we have an image, okay? Like this is our image. It's going to be a 3x3 image, okay? And we could come up with a better, thing for this, but whatever. Let's redo this. It's a 3x3 image we have got going on, like so. Let's draw this properly. Okay, 3x3 image. And what a blur kernel is it's just another like 3x3 structure like this. You don't have to worry about how actually it's implemented in code and whatnot. Just know that this is going to be our kernel. Just zoom this out. And this is going to be our image. Image and then the kernel. Okay, great. Now, what this size option is actually doing is it's increasing the size, or yeah, basically just increasing the size of this kernel. So the way blurring actually works is the algorithm, or the computer in this case, what happens is it takes this kernel. So it takes whatever this structure is, and then it puts it onto each individual pixel, okay? It takes it and puts it such that this center part, this center pixel or the center box of the kernel, okay, is going to overlap with one of the pixels over here. And because the pixels of the image are just values, right? They're just numbers. Every single pixel over here is just a number. So what the blur algorithm is doing is it's identifying the center pixel, okay? And then it's also checking for the pixels surrounding this center pixel, okay? And what the algorithm is doing is finding the average of the rest of the pixels and then dividing it by 9, because, we have a 3x3 kernel and then we have, a 3x3 image over here, okay, to give us a new value for this particular pixel, let's say. You don't have to go like too in depth with it, but basically this is how it works. So if you use a larger kernel, what happens is the blur just increases in intensity, as you can see over here. Okay, so we can make size 15, and the blur just increases in intensity because the kernel, in this case, this kernel thing over here, has just become bigger. So instead of being a 3x3 block or a 3x3 structure, it's become a 5x5 structure, or in this case, probably a 15x15 structure, if they're actually considering this, a one-on-one, what do you call it, parallel between the number over here and the number of squares in this kernel grid. Okay, but you don't have to worry about it too much. Just know that blur size basically means blur intensity, as you just saw. Okay, then we have blur passes, which is the amount of passes to perform. Now, For different blur algorithms, you have different ways of actually getting the blur to work. Okay, but for dual quasi, how it works is it's an iterative blur. Okay, so first it performs one pass, which is why if I just remove this line, what happens is it becomes very translucent, but then also a little bit blurred, which is why you also see this color banding over here. And then if I also change the passes to 1, what happens is it just stays the same, because by default, there is one pass being applied. So if I want to increase the number of passes, so let's say I want to blur the blurred surface in order to create an effect of even more blur, then you just increase the number of passes like so. And then what happens is you get a really blurred effect. You could take this a notch further, and then you could increase the passes to 5, in which case it becomes really opaque. But if you want to keep it a healthy amount, this is what you can have. This looks a little bit like frosted glass, and if you've used Windows 11 or Windows 10 in the past, you'll know that this is the acrylic effect. If you've opened the Windows terminal and then you've taken a look at the background that they have, if they've configured it properly, then this is what you're going to see. This is an acrylic effect, right? That is the effect that you can achieve with passes set to 4. However, if you preferred something like Apple's liquid glass, you could reduce the number of passes, and then this is what you get. You can also keep the passes to something like 1.5. Okay, it doesn't work. You actually have to use an integer. But regardless, you can set the number of passes a bit low and then increase a bunch of the other settings like contrast and noise to get that liquid glass effect. But that is what I'm going to show you later on, right now. Okay. Then ignore opacity just makes the blur layer ignore the opacity of the window. What does this mean? Some windows are not going to be fully opaque, okay? Now what ignore opacity does is it ignores the opacity of the window and then blurs all surfaces regardless. So this makes sure that all the surfaces that need to be blurred or where you're expecting blur to occur actually happens. That's it, pretty simple. It's a Boolean value. By default, it's true. If you want, you can turn it off. I've just left it on over here. Then we have new optimizations. This is just whether to enable further optimizations to the blur. They do a bunch of stuff at the back end. You don't have to worry about that at all. If you want a more performant blur, okay, with much less overhead or much less performance costs, then this is your tool. You just have to turn this on. It's on by default, so you can just keep it on, okay? Then we have X-ray. So X-ray, you can probably guess what this does. By default, if you have X-ray turned off, I can move this, and what happens is this window is blurring the surface beneath it. Okay, let's say I turn X-ray to true, I'm going to see the wallpaper beneath it. Same goes for my Overwatch panel. So for this panel over here, if I change X-ray to false, then what's going to happen is it'll just blur the surface behind it. Otherwise, it is going to show me the wallpaper and then blur that instead. It depends on whether you have a really nice wallpaper that you want to peek through all your blurred windows, but the best effect, in my opinion, is just keeping X-ray false so that you can see the surface behind. And let me just show you how this effect looks if I switch themes. So I have made a custom theme switcher, which allows me to switch themes at whatever time I want. Okay, just need a refresh for this thing. Okay, just have to close and reopen. This is what you see, right? This is what you see over here. So I can switch the themes. Like so, I can pick any different theme that I want, and then my system adapts. This is what you see. So if I turn, let's show you this, okay? I turn X-ray to true, wallpaper always peaks, right? Here you're not able to see it because there's something going on, but apart from that, you get the idea. You can also change it to something like Everforest, okay? And retain the blur, all that fun stuff. If you want to know how to make something like this, how to make a custom theme switcher on your own without having to dig through 50 different YouTube tutorials and figuring out how to do it yourself and taking months, wasting a lot of time, okay? Because trust me, your time is valuable. Hey, if nobody has told that to you yet, I'm telling you, your time is valuable. Don't waste it. Don't waste it looking for fluffy crap online, okay? Look for stuff and knowledge and actually invest in yourself by saving your own time. So if you want to know how to make something like this, go ahead, click the first link in the description, and I will show you exactly how without you having to jump through 50 different hoops, okay? Great. Next up, we have noise. So how much noise to apply? If I show you this noise setting over here, okay, here we have 0.08. It's a float value that goes from 0 to 1. And if I turn this way up, then what's going to happen is it's going to become really grainy. So this is what you see. Now, if you've actually observed frosted glass in real life, then this is probably what it looks like, right? Except you don't have this much grain. You have much less, something like 0.5 maybe. You have something like 0.5. And this looks more like frosted glass that you'd see in real life. So if you like that frosted glass look, just increase noise so that you can get more grains in your blur. Grains and basically noise. Okay, let's put that back to what it was, 0.08. Okay, still enough to give us that cool effect without making it look weird. Great. Then we have contrast. So this is basically contrast modulation for blur. What happens when you increase contrast is you make the darks darker and the lights lighter. So if you have a dark theme, let's say you're using a dark theme like I am, okay, and then you want the blacks to be pretty black, then you're going to want to increase the contrast. This is also the setting that makes the blur look spicy, as I mentioned earlier, okay? If you want much less contrast, all you have to do is just set it to 1, and it doesn't look as spicy anymore. Like there's not that detail, it's not as crisp, right? So if you're looking for that crispness in your blur, the contrast setting, as you covered, at 1.5, but then the best is probably what I had it before. Okay, 2. Or, yep, okay, it was at 1.5. Great. Just keep it at that. Next, we have brightness. So this is basically how bright the blurred areas are. You don't have to change this too much. By default, it's a float value, which is 0.8. I'll just change this here and then show you the brightness. We can set it to something like 2. Then it makes the entire surface really bright. If you're into that, if you have a light mode and you really want the light colors to peek through, then you can use this setting. Otherwise, you can just set brightness to 1 and keep it pretty dark. Also set it to 0, but then that's going to turn off the blur entirely, okay? You don't want that. Then you just have to reduce the blur to an acceptable amount, perhaps something like this. So what this does is actually makes the text on your terminal, for example, actually readable, whilst still keeping the really cool effect. Let's put it back to how it was. Yeah. You know what? Just to make it a bit easier to read, I'll keep it at 0.8. Okay, great. Then we have vibrancy. Vibrancy is the saturation of the blurred colors. So if you prefer not having really saturated colors in your blur, like let's say you're using a monochrome theme and then you prefer really unsaturated colors, then you can use vibrancy over here, right? So you can type in vibrancy, set that to 0. It doesn't change much over here, but then change it to 1. Yeah, the difference is not that noticeable, especially combined with the other noise, contrast, and brightness settings. Otherwise, you can use vibrancy to make your colors vibrant, make them more saturated. Then you have the special workspaces, whether to blur behind the special workspace. Now, this is actually expensive. So right now I have OBS running, but apart from that, this is just dimming the background behind the special workspace. If you turn this on, so if you say special equals true, then it's going to blur the entire background, and it does this, which is pretty expensive because, just think about it, it's blurring the entire surface apart from whatever's behind this window, right? Don't want that. So just turn it off, leave that to just dimming. Then you have pop-ups, whether to blur pop-up menus. Don't have to worry about this too much, just let it be false. You don't want your pop-up menus to be blurred as well, lest you aren't able to see them, right? And pop-ups, ignore alpha. This is just ignore alpha. This is in a different layer rule. If you haven't watched my layer rules video, you can just go ahead and check that out. I explain layer rules in much more detail over there. Then input methods, and then input methods, ignore alpha. You don't have to worry about those. Those you're pretty much never going to use. And that's pretty much it. Now, there's a note that they've given here. Blur size and blur passes have to be at least 1. Increasing passes is necessary to prevent the blur looking wrong on higher blur size values. Remember that higher blur passes will require more strain on the GPU. So if you have a pretty potato PC, and then you'd rather still have the blur without having to go through all the overhead of actually rendering it, then you can turn the passes way down and then keep the size to be a bit larger, as I have done over here. Okay. Now, I do this because it just looks good. My PC can actually run it, no problem. But yes, so you can copy these settings to get this kind of blur. And that should pretty much be it. If you liked the video, hit like. If you loved it and want to see more like this in your feed, hit subscribe, and I will see you next time. Oh, and also, if you want to know how to make a custom theme switcher like this one, along with this Overwatch panel and this wlogout menu and a hell of a lot more, go ahead and click the first link in the description. Thank you, and stay rising.